I've been wanting to try something for a while now, and to do it, I'm gonna need some high-proof alcohol. I'm also gonna need some crud cutter, which is made of something called sodium polyacrylate. With all this in the beaker, I now need to add 125 mils of the alcohol. Not much really happens, and I'll just keep mixing it for a bit. The next thing that I need is water, and I'll add about 100 mils. Unlike the alcohol, the sodium polyacrylate can actually absorb the water, but still, not much really happens. So on top of this, I'll dump in another pack of crud cutter. After stirring it around for about a minute, I'm left with a fluffy and kind of wet powder. I think that it actually looks a bit like snow, but it's way more dangerous. The polyacrylate was able to absorb all the alcohol, and it's now an extremely flammable powder. It also feels like it's gonna burn me if I don't throw it immediately, but it's worth it because it makes me feel super cool. A few weeks ago, I bought some titanium tetrachloride, which I heard is one of the most obnoxious chemicals. It came in this nice elongated tuna can, and it was wrapped up in a little blanket. When it was just sitting in a bottle like this, it wasn't too scary, but it still took a little while to get the courage to open it. So now, I finally feel ready to crack it open, and I for sure have to do it in my fume hood. Almost immediately, a bunch of white smoke started pouring out. This is a mixture of hydrochloric acid and titanium oxides, which form as the titanium tetrachloride reacts with oxygen and moisture in the air. If I open this outside my fume hood, it would easily fill the room with a haze, and it also wouldn't be very healthy to breathe. But anyway, what I've always wanted to do was try and soak a super ball in it. So I dropped in one that I got from the dollar store, and I let it sit for a couple minutes. When it was done, it had completely changed colors, and it kind of looked like a little planet. I don't know for sure, but this has to be the world's smokiest ball. Okay, so today I've decided to make some dry ice, and to do that, I need a tank filled with CO2. In the tank, all the CO2 is a liquid, but if I open the valve and have it rush out, it instantly turns back into a gas. A small amount of it, though, will also turn into solid CO2, also known as dry ice. However, just opening it like this isn't super efficient because most of it's turning into a gas. To get more of it as a solid, it needs to be trapped in something, and I bought this dry ice maker. It's basically just a denim sock, and all I need to do is attach it to the tank. Now when I open it, most of it stays inside, and after several seconds, I have a cold and full sack. It's a big solid chunk though, and to get it out, I just need to carefully break it apart. This is bromine. No, wait, sorry, that was soy sauce. This is bromine, and something that I've always wanted to do is turn it into a popsicle. The first step is to pour it all into a test tube. And I'll use a glass rod for the stick. Then after that, I'll put a small Dewar flask under it and fill it with some nice and cold liquid nitrogen. As it sits there, the bromine should slowly freeze because its freezing point is only about -7°C or 19 Fahrenheit. The liquid nitrogen is way lower than that at around -196°C or -320 Fahrenheit. When it eventually stopped bubbling, it meant that it was as cold as the liquid nitrogen, and I can take it out. Now to get it out of the tube, I just have to warm it up a bit by putting it into some water. I was hoping that by freezing it, it wouldn't be as angry, but it was still pouring off way too much bromine vapor. So, I had no choice but to destroy it. Okay, so I've decided to do a chemical reaction that, in my opinion, kind of looks like magic. The first thing that I need is a bit of cornstarch, and I'll mix this with some boiling water. A small amount of the cornstarch didn't dissolve, and to clear it up a bit, I'll just pour it through some coffee filters. It took a little while to finish, but when it was eventually done, I added some hydrogen peroxide. I'll mark this one as part B, and the next thing that I have to do is make the part A. To do this, I'll need some pills, and I picked up some vitamin C. I only need 2 of them, and all I have to do is crush them and mix them with water. What I'm doing here is pulling out the vitamin C from the pill and leaving behind a bunch of filler. Like before, I'll dump this into some coffee filters to clean it up a bit. Now that it's done, I'll add an entire bottle of iodine disinfectant. The color of it immediately disappears, and this is because the vitamin C is reacting with the iodine. On top of this, I'll add a bunch of water, and that's it for part A. Now, all I need to do is mix together these 2 solutions. At first, it doesn't seem like anything is happening, and it basically does nothing for over a minute. It takes such a long time that I often think I messed something up, but then it suddenly changes. This is called the iodine clock reaction, and I think it's pretty cool.